My name's Cassie Couture. I graduated from URI in 2017, and I grew up in Narragansett, so that was one of the main reasons as to why I chose to go to URI. I applied to a couple other schools in Massachusetts, but when I got accepted to URI, I felt like it was just a no-brainer. Being close, it's a great school, and I just couldn't imagine going anywhere else when there was a school here, and I didn't want to give up on that opportunity. I'm sure like you.
Yep, same exact thing. And I was talking to another pharmacist yesterday on one of these interviews, and we were saying the same thing. She was also from Rhode Island, and it's just, I couldn't imagine going, like, I applied to other places just like you, but I was like, right. You know what? I'm going to do URI. Like,
I know, exactly. Why not? I know. And all my friends who are out of state, they're like, I just wish I had a school that was in my state that I could have gone to as a state school for pharmacy as good as this.
Right. But exactly.
I know. Very lucky.
For sure. And so you currently work for CVS and you are a pharmacy manager, correct?
Yep. Yeah. So I actually, I got into CVS from doing my first IPI from Dr. Ferret scheduled me at the CVS on Boston Neck Road. And so I did my IPI that summer there, and then I got hired. And then I hate to say it, but then the rest was history. So then I stayed on as an intern, and then I got hired the year I was graduating to become a staff pharmacist. And I worked as a staff pharmacist in Newport for about a year, or almost a year and a half. And then I moved to the Wakefield CVS, a busy 24-hour store. And I worked with a mentor of mine, also URI grad, and to become a pharmacy manager. And then a unique opportunity actually happened where I was the fill-in pharmacy manager in Wakefield while the actual pharmacy manager went on a stretch assignment for corporate. And then I did that for about 6 months. And then in September of 2019, I became the pharmacy manager in Narragansett. So that's where I am now. So a year and a half later, still enjoying it. A lot of work, but
definitely worth it though.
Yeah, exactly. I had a lot of experience, a lot of help. So that helps with pharmacy.
Yeah, for sure. So what does a typical day at work look like for you?
So it's been very busy lately with all the COVID stuff. So we're actually, since May, we've become a COVID testing site as well. So on top of getting in, filling prescriptions and consultations and ringing people out for their prescriptions, we're a drive-through test site for COVID. So we do testing each day from 9:30 to 4:30, and we do about 6 or 7 an hour. So we do a decent amount a day. I think it falls somewhere between like 28 and 35 a day, depending. So that's made us a little bit busier, obviously. But other than that, I mean, that's a typical like pharmacist day, I would say, like checking prescriptions, calling doctors for refills, things like that. But then being the manager, I also have to make time to do things like make the schedule. We're in the process of hiring a lot of new people just for when the vaccine rolls out and everything like that. So I do a lot of my onboarding and training while I'm there and organizing for the training. I do a lot of organizing, I feel like, making to-do lists of things I need to get done. So I try to get all that done at work when I can. Obviously, some days are better than others, busier, slower. So I don't always have the opportunity to do that. So sometimes I end up taking it home. But other than that, that is what a typical day, I would say, is like, with all sorts of things that get thrown in along the way.
Oh, yeah. There's always
something.
Exactly. No day is the same, I feel
exactly.
Like.
Every day is different. I know.
What would you want younger pharmacy students to know about community pharmacy?
So, I mean, I love it. Ever since I started, I enjoyed every minute of it. It does not to say that I'm not stressed or that days aren't overwhelming, because There are definitely days I come home and I'm exhausted, but I feel like if you like dealing with people, I mean, you deal with people all day long, and helping people, I mean, from what you know, with community pharmacy, I mean, all the people are calling you before they call their doctor. I mean, we're so accessible now that I think they rely on us more. So I think that's just such a unique opportunity now. And lately, I feel like, especially with COVID and doctors' offices not being open to seeing people and things like that, I just feel like if you like helping, I mean, it sounds so lame, but if you like helping people, that's exactly where you need to be. And then depending on the setting that you work in, whether it's like a CVS or independent, it depends on how busy you are, but I feel like it's always fast paced no matter what. Like you always have to be like on your toes, running around, and sometimes I like that. It's like it's like the thrill of the day, like trying to get everything done. So I definitely would tell someone that if they're interested in like the people and the fast pace and dealing with different things every day, like you were talking about, like I feel like you get thrown curveballs every day too. So like trying to problem solve all of that and just taking things as they come. And I mean, with CVS, as such a big corporation as they are, it's like every day something could be changing. So it's like you just have to be on your toes and expect to like be able to think at the drop of a hat of something else or something new that you'll need to do. So to me, I think it just brings the excitement. So I think that's, if someone's interested in all of that, then I think that's perfect for them.
Yeah, definitely. So that kind of leads me to my next question, actually. So when you were on like your hospital rotations and in comparison to community, what kind of led you to community? Was it that person interaction that led you to community instead of a hospital?
Yeah, so I definitely enjoyed my hospital rotations. I did my gen med at Kent with Dr. P, which I loved. I actually really liked that. And the team, like it was a teaching hospital, so they had a bunch of residents. So I thought that was really interesting. Like they really make it a point to be a part of a team. And so like even though I was like an API student, they brought you in as like the pharmacist on the team. So that was nice. So I really enjoyed that. And then I did my institutional at Westerly. But yeah, I guess I was never really interested in being in a hospital. I don't know. And then I always, if I wanted to be a hospital pharmacist, I thought about like, I would probably want to do like specialize in something. And then I just was never really interested in like residency and stuff like that. So I felt for me personally, being just like a staff pharmacist in a hospital, was just not going to be good for my personality. And I shouldn't say like just a staff pharmacist. I just meant like not on the floors, because I know there's so many different things in hospitals, but to be a clinical pharmacist, you typically have to have more training, which I don't think I was interested in. And so I think that's why retail, and I always liked it. Like I always enjoyed being at work as an intern, and I honestly just never imagined doing anything else.
It's awesome that you found something that, you feel like you fit in there well. And
right. Yeah, which is hard, especially if you don't work during school, which some don't have that opportunity. You really have to rely on the rotations to say like, oh, I don't really know if I like this, or yeah, I'm very interested in this, and then kind of go from there.
Yeah, definitely. So how do you feel like URI prepared you for this role?
I mean, clinically speaking, URI prepared us so well. So that was never an issue. Like when I studied for my boards and everything like that, I had no doubt that like with the training and then the studying tools that I had, that I was going to be fine. But as for like school in general, I think that it's definitely more heavily based on clinical and hospital-based training, but I think like in the labs and the simulations and things like that, where you had to do all like the counseling points and you had to do the OSCEs, and even if they were extensive and you obviously don't really do those in community, it's more about like talking to the patient and like having more conversational consultations than just like listing off a bunch of facts about the drug. and like actually asking questions, like open-ended questions. I think that's huge, because it's funny how you realize that doctors really don't tell their patients a lot of things. Like I thought in school, oh, they're all just saying this because they just want us to counsel more and OSCEs and things like that. But they really don't. Like doctors are so busy that everybody's busy, but you just realize that sometimes they don't even tell them. So having those conversations, like, what did your doctor tell you this was for? It seems so silly doing it in the OSCEs, but really I almost every time I go to consult for a first fill, that's what I ask them, because if they don't have any knowledge for that, then I'm not even going to start with like the side effects and what to watch out for and things like that. So I think that all really helped and put it into perspective that people actually really don't always get the information from their doctors. I would like to see more like community-based training in school, which I think from what I've heard, like I feel like they're going to start to try to do that. But I think all of it was helpful regardless.
Yeah, definitely. I know, it's so true though. I feel like people come in and I'm like, oh, like, you know, what questions do you have and stuff, and they're like, I don't even know what this is. Like, I don't know
right.
what.
Yeah. Yeah, like they didn't even have a visit, like their doctor just sent it in.
Yeah, especially with like the telehealth stuff now. Like,
right.
I feel like
exactly.
people probably don't really
know. I know, big
it.
disconnects. Yeah.
For sure. So moving forward, how do you see the role of community pharmacists evolving in the future?
Okay, so yeah, so that's kind of like along like the lines of the vaccine. So I feel like we, especially at CVS, I mean, Walgreens did it too, and other places started doing the testing, but like we were really like just thrown into it, and we're doing all this COVID testing, and then we started doing all these vaccine clinics. And I mean, even at the beginning of the pandemic, when we didn't have the testing at the stores, and we were doing all of the big like drive-by testings at like Twin stuff, like the pharmacists were running all of that. They had some nurse practitioners there and stuff. I never went, but they had some nurse practitioners there, but they were pharmacists that were like, we had to get NPIs if we were going to go to it. And so like I have an NPI, and so it's just like, you just feel like you're going to be stepping forward and like moving more towards like provider status, and being in charge of things like as simple as that, even though it's just like a little swab up the nose. But I think that's definitely moving in the right direction. And then same with just the COVID vaccines. I mean, going to all the long-term care facilities, like it was very fulfilling, especially the first time I went. The people were just so grateful, and like all the nurses and all the doctors that were there too, like they like were saying, oh, I can't imagine like what we would do without our pharmacists and things like that. And I don't know, you just knew that people really meant it. And I think the pandemic brought a lot of that out. I wish it wasn't a pandemic that had to move a lot of things forward, but I think it's definitely something that will help. And I mean, I don't know, like I would just love to be able to do more like MTM stuff in the pharmacy. I mean, obviously in a retail pharmacy, it's more difficult, but like if you could get set time like aside to do it, I think it could definitely just give like a better overall picture for everything.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like pharmacists have definitely moved forward with this whole situation in the past year. So
yeah, I know. So we'll see. I hope so.
Yeah.
We'll need it.
Those are all the questions I had prepared. Do you have anything you want to share like that I didn't ask or didn't talk about?
I guess I could talk about how when I became a manager, I became a preceptor. And so I had my first IPI student last summer, which I thought was so great. So I have another student scheduled for this summer. So I was really happy when Dr. Farrett had reached out to me about it, because I feel like, especially when you're younger and like I'm fresh out of school, not fresh out of school, but like I've graduated in the last couple of years, I feel like it's so important to have someone that you can like pass your knowledge along to, and like more day-to-day stuff, you know, like kind of like what you or I taught you. It's like, this is the more hands-on experience that you get before you actually go onto your rotations. And so I feel like when my student was there, I was like, oh, this, and this you learn in school, but if like this happens in the store, this is what you can do with all that information. I don't know, that sounds kind of confusing, but it's like putting it all, what you learned, like into action, and kind of giving an idea of like what, like how I manage my staff and like how I manage the store, which obviously is different for everybody, but just what I thought was best for me along the way. So it's nice to be able to like teach people, especially people who are actually interested in going into retail, and giving them little tidbits. And same with when I work with all my students, like I love all my interns and being able to teach them things. I'm like, oh, you'll be a pharmacist one day. Like this is how I do it. And you can do it your own way, but I think it's good for them to learn, because they'll eventually move on, obviously. And so if they work with other managers, they can take like just what I did as an intern. Like I worked with such great managers, but they all had their own like quirks that they brought to the table that worked for them. And so like, I feel like meshing all of that together just helps you become a better pharmacist, no matter whether you're manager or not. And so I think that was, I find that very fulfilling with my job, like being the manager. Like, I think that's great. Like Avery, I took her right under my little wing, and she, when I was a staff pharmacist, I worked with her, and then she actually came to my store for the grad intern, like after she graduated, before she got licensed. And so she has definitely grown. And so I think like teaching her, but then like coaching her, and then kind of pulling back and seeing her work, how she works it out. It's nice to see all like people progress like that. I don't know why it sounds very lame and cheesy, but it's nice to see them like spread their wings.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it's nice to see it come full circle too, because you start off in their shoes, and then you've become, you know, who you are from people above you, and then it just.
Exactly. Yeah. And like the biggest thing for me is like, I don't ever care if anybody's wrong or ask like 1,000 questions. I'm like, I just want you to ask questions, and then that's the only way you'll learn, because you can't be shy about it. Like I remember I was a little shy about asking questions to certain people, and I'm like, why am I shy? Like, why am I like feeling bad about asking questions when like it's only going to help me? And it'll, in any field of pharmacy, I feel like it's all experience based, you know? So yeah, so that's what I do find that very fulfilling. That's probably one of the best parts about my job. I like.
Well, thank you so much for doing this.
You're welcome.